Google's first foray into the headphone category has a quirky design, good sound, and puts some Google Assistant flavor in your ear. It's Joshua Vergara, what's going on everybody? And these are the Google Pixel Buds. Let's start from the beginning with the Pixel Buds still in the case. Now, the case itself already screams Google from the get-go with a design language that is reminiscent of recent Pixel devices. There's a fabric all around the clamshell case, and it is charged with USB-C cables. And then, of course, there is the G logo in the middle. Open it up and there are the Pixel Buds themselves, nestled inside of the little crevices that are also magnetized, and the cord is wrapped around the edges. Now, wrapping the cable around the edges when you're charging the earbuds takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get it down, it's easy to do without even thinking about it. And as far as charging these earbuds go, the 120 milliamp hour unit is charged by 650 milliamp hours inside of the case itself, which allows the earbuds to work for pretty much the entire day. A single button above the right earbud area shows you what the charge level is of the case or of the earbuds if they are inside of the case. But the initial setup does require use of that button. You do have to pair the earphones to whatever phone you're using that has Google Assistant on it by holding down on that button while the buds are inside. Now, one thing I do want to mention real quick is that Google does claim that the Pixel Buds work best with the Pixel 2. And while I did use it with them and it was perfectly fine, I actually used them mostly with this OnePlus 5T. I will admit that the pairing process on the OnePlus 5T was not completely seamless, as it still prompted me with a pairing request. On the Pixel 2, this is not the case. But once you have the Pixel Buds paired to whatever smartphone you're using, they will always connect to it the moment you take it out of the case without any delays at all. Google's design language permeates throughout the headphones themselves. The cord is made of a fabric material as well, and it even extends past the earpieces themselves. More on that in a second. The problem I have with the cord is that it's just not long enough. More length on it would allow the earbuds to just securely hang around my neck. But even during the recording of this video, I've had to fix the cord so that it wasn't always slacking more on one side. And at worst, they would just fall off my neck, and that happens more times than I would like. I've heard a myriad of different opinions on how comfortable the buds are, ranging from positive to downright upset. Personally, the buds fit just right in my ears, and the way that they make them fit is actually kind of interesting. That extra bit of fabric cord that goes past the earbuds can be pulled or slacked in more in order for them to just sort of nestle underneath a portion of the ear. That way they don't come out too easily. Now, if you look closely, the earpieces do have an open construction, and that means they are different from plenty of other earphones you might be used to that have a piece of rubber or silicone at the end that you would then insert actually into your ear. Now, this is a little bit more like the Apple AirPods, and it does change the sound profile quite a bit, but I'll get to that later. The left earbud is simply for sound, as the touch-sensitive control is found on the right earbud, where you can tap, hold, or swipe for various functions. And to be honest, the gestures of the Pixel Buds are one of the main highlights. Interactions come incredibly naturally. Hit the right earbud to play or pause or to respond to a Google Assistant prompt, hold it to talk to Assistant, or swipe forward and backward for volume control. There's no control for changing tracks, but that function is pretty easily replaced by just asking Google Assistant to do so. Just hold on the right earbud and then you can ask it and it does it right away. It literally happens that fast. In opting for a more open configuration, the Pixel Buds mainly lose an immersive level of bass, but there was a good enough sound profile that I still enjoyed listening to music, and also they get pretty loud, so you are able to immerse yourself in the music at least to that level. But it's the lack of a seal that I think most people are going to get a little bit upset at because they're used to just blocking out the noise of the outside world. And while that is a very valid concern, I also think that's kind of missing the point. As a new way of having Google Assistant on at all times, it's a bit obvious that Google kind of wants you to have at least the right earbud in at all times if possible. It might not sound particularly appealing, but consider for a moment that Google Assistant on the buds is actually the best iteration of it outside of the smartphone itself. Holding on the right earbud and asking to speak a different language launches the app on the phone and it begins listening. You will be able to hear either the foreign language or your own translated accordingly in your ear, but it will still be displayed on your device in order for the other person to read it and for you to read their response. Now, this is a great function to have, but it is only as good as Google Translate itself. If you've used it at all in the past, you would know that it goes for the more informal phrases, so if you are traveling a lot with the Pixel Buds and with Google Translate, just know that you might be talking more casually to people than they would be used to. Currently, the Pixel Buds support a number of different languages, including Japanese, French, Spanish, Korean, Vietnamese, and Thai, but on a personal note, Filipino is not supported, so that was a bit of a bummer. And to be honest, if you have Google Translate installed on your smartphone, a lot of these functions are still available to you. So the Pixel Buds provide more of a convenience in terms of doing translation rather than actually being an essential part of the process. But it's when you get into a dialogue with the Pixel Buds that it really finds its aha moment. Here's an example. I double tap the right earbud to get Google Assistant to do its usual tasks. First, it tells me the time, and then it tells me if I have any calendar events coming up. Third, it begins reading off my notifications on my phone if it hasn't already covered them. This is a kind of literal part of the experience. The notification that you would read on your phone in the notification dropdown becomes exactly what you hear verbatim in a slightly robotic way. And if you don't have anything playing already on the Pixel Buds, the notifications will be read in real time, which again is a reason why the open construction turns out to be useful. If you happen to have one of these in your ear at all times so you don't miss notifications, at least you're not sealing off the world and you have more awareness so that, well, you can be safer. And finally, Google Assistant will sometimes hit a Messenger application, read out the message, and give me time to respond. 5 chimes or seconds, in which I can hold the right earbud to voice dictate a response. Google Assistant repeats my response back to me, and then I can tap the bud to send it or hold it in order to record it again. I'm completely convinced that this is the point of the Pixel Buds. Not only has it been nice to have Assistant always available, but interacting with it through the earpiece has proved to be more natural than the alternatives. Let's face it, talking to our wrists in order to respond to messages was kind of cool, but ultimately not practical and definitely not foolproof. The Pixel Buds simply do this a lot better. Now, because of this, the audience that will enjoy the Pixel Buds are ones that are going to already use Google Assistant on the daily. For everyone else, these headphones will simply fall short. They're not the best sounding, they're not the best designed, and they are not the best priced. At $159, the question is whether or not the smart functions are worth it. Everyone else should still pay attention though, because these are a lot like the original Google Pixel. Assistant was a new, exciting, yet cautious move forward in Google's first in-house smartphone, but soon it found its way to pretty much every other phone. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the same story with the Buds, in which the great gesture controls, the maturing Google Assistants, and even more find their way to more headphones, wireless or otherwise. And it would only be a matter of time before a headset arrives that is the opposite of the Buds. Instead of great smart functions and decent sound, it would have incredible sound, and it would happen to be enjoyably smart. And now that would be music to our ears. So as always, thank you very much for watching and hope you enjoyed this review of the Google Pixel Buds. They are an enjoyable sound experience, but an even more enjoyable Google Assistant experience. And I think everyone should be paying attention because this is the way that headphones might mature and become smarter over time. And honestly, I'm really excited to see what comes next. I wanted to give a shout out to some top comments on my last video, which was the OnePlus 5T review. So let's give you guys a shout out and good job keeping the conversation going. You can do the same in the comment section down below, and some of the top comments might get a shout out from me in my next piece. Keep it tuned to Android Authority for even more, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And then remember that you can keep up with Android Authority and everything that we do using our official application, easily found in the Play Store. And then from there, you can come on back here and head on over to AndroidAuthority.com for even more, because we are your source for all things Android.